Welcome back. Here we are, another wrap up. Every time I want to do a wrap up, I feel like, oh my god, it's been so long since the last one, and then realize that 2 months haven't actually passed at all. And then I forget, and then another month passes at this point. It's almost June, and I'm doing a wrap up for March and April. It varies depending on the year what I do with my wrap ups. If I do like quarterly, if I do every month, if I do every 2 months. I don't like doing it every month because I feel like there's not much material to talk about in some months, and then I just feel bad for making the video at all. But I do actually want to talk about the majority of the books that I read. So, like, let's get into it. I have it pulled up. We're ready. Don't mind my computer. I just finished writing half of a paper that I have to write, which is traumatizing for me. As a writer, there's nothing worse than academic writing for me. Okay, there's a reason why I went into a field that has absolutely nothing to do with writing, and yet somehow there's so much academic writing that I have to do. Anyway, let's get into the books. The first thing we can discuss, okay, is March. I did not read in March. I was in the trenches in March. We're not even getting into that, but March was not a good time for me, okay? So just like February, I was reading a lot of Star Wars on my e-reader. I finished Jedi Quest, which I loved. I loved so much and would highly recommend if you're at all a fan of Anakin and Obi-Wan. And then I started Jedi Apprentice, which is Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, which I'm still reading. I think I finished book 9 the other day, so that's a bit longer. I think there's 20 books in that one, whereas Jedi Quest has 11. Pardon me. So that is the state of things in March. I mostly read Star Wars. I read Garlic and the Vampire for like the third time because I got a physical copy finally. And the thing that we have to talk about, that I feel like we're going to talk about in every quarter, is Patricia A Mckillip. Okay, we have The Forgotten Beasts of Eld, which is the next like Patricia A Mckillip that I read and didn't DNF. It is the only book like before the Riddlemaster. I felt very polarized about Forgotten Beasts of Eld because there were bits where I was annotating so much, where I was like, this is just beautiful writing. This is stunning. This is mythological. This is like so beautifully put. And then there was another chapter where I was like, okay, this is these are the worst characters that I don't want to read about, that I don't care about. Like, what's the focus here? This felt, the point being that this felt very chaotic compared to Riddlemaster, that you feel like has like one goal and purpose and narrative. Forgotten Beasts of Eld, like, it hip hops, okay, between magical, mythological world building with all these like mythical beasts that the main character can speak to, and also a very poorly done romance. Like, it just neither part sort of gelled with the other, and neither did I. Okay, because when we had the mythological fantasy that Patricia Mckillip is so good at, I was like, yes, I can see like echoes of Riddlemaster in this like earlier work. This world building feels alive. Okay, it feels like mythology you can touch, that you can know. She puts so much love and thought and care into world building. And then I'd look at the characters and be like, none of them are really developed. They feel like ideas and concepts rather than people. And I realized something that will come up again in the next wrap up when we talk about Umbria and Shadow. But I've realized that Patricia Mckillip writes ideas and concepts rather than characters. And the only reason, like, I personally would say that the characters are my favorite part alongside the world building in Riddlemaster. But I think she just writes concepts rather than real people. And the reason that they like clicked so well with me in Riddlemaster was because I loved the ideas and concepts that she was giving me. I did not like them in Forgotten Beasts of Eld, so the characters fell flat for me. Okay, but I've seen from like reviews and from people in my house that in Riddlemaster, one of the complaints is that the characters are one-dimensional and flat, which again, I didn't think at all. Like, I loved those characters and they felt like real people. But perhaps that was just because I perfectly clicked with the ideas that she was putting forth in that book. So the concepts that were the characters were people to me, whereas because I don't like the concepts that she's doing here, I didn't see the characters. I saw the flatness. I could just be talking out of my ass. I will come back to this when we discuss more of her books, like when we discuss Ombre and Shadow, and if I ever actually read Signet, we will discuss this. But like, I had that specific feeling. There was this one chapter in Forgotten Beast of Eld that was world building wise immaculate, and there was actually interesting characterization between two characters. You can feel the tension, but it was isolated. Like, that was just one chapter. Then we go back to regularly scheduled programming and Patricia's weird characterization of this woman who's obsessed with having a child for some reason. Like, I feel like it really clashed with the characterization of crazy witch who lives on a mountain and talks to animals, and now she's obsessed with having a child for some reason. Like, it was, I liked her rising to the occasion when she was given a child. I didn't like her obsession with having a child, though, because it just felt very contrary to the point of her as a character, if that's the point. If that's, like, makes sense, because again, they didn't feel like characters, they felt like characters and mouthpieces for specific things Patricia wanted to portray. The love story was also super insta-lovey and not convincing, like, in the slightest. I feel like the strength in Riddlemaster with the romance is that they've known each other before. So while, yes, it's not really on page falling in love, it makes a lot more contextual sense, and you can, like, explain it away to yourself that way. I did not mind at all the romance in Riddlemaster, and here it, like, super bothered me. There's also so many untapped scenes, untapped potential in certain scenes where it was like, okay, well, you could have, like, built a 600-page book out of this, but you just chose not to. Point being, and the highlights of this were high and the lows were just plain disappointing, and both clashed with each other. So the overall book, I think I gave 3 stars, but I could see hints of what she would build in Riddlemaster, but I could also see some of the faults that Riddlemaster avoids, which again, I don't know if that specific bridge is because I personally, like, just perfectly clicked with Riddlemaster and I didn't with this. We will see with future books. Point being, I had a lot of thoughts about this. There were so many beautiful passages, and on the whole, I liked it. Like, I read it quickly, but also it was just really jarring. It felt like reading 2 books that were kind of smushed together, and neither of them were really developed. It basically felt like a first draft. It felt like a writing exercise by Patricia Mckillip. It was a novella of an attempt that she practiced writing with. Okay, that's how it felt. And was it enjoyable? Yes. But did I have problems with it? Like, yes, obviously, like, as we can see. Now, April. April was the last month of my semester, okay, in my master's, my graduate program. It was the last semester, last month of classes. Like, I have a year off for a thesis and I'm writing a paper, as you can see by the computer, but like the last month of classes. And I pretty much read nothing, or rather, I didn't complete anything. Didn't complete literally anything. It was all, like, ongoing books, and I kept picking stuff up and putting it down. I didn't complete anything in April except Hijacked Atelier, which, for reference, my birthday is in April, and Hijacked Atelier literally came out on my birthday. I got 2 episodes of my favorite thing in the world, like, for my birthday. The coincidence of that is just astronomical. So obviously, as one does, I read it for the 4th time in the month of April. All, like, 16, 17 volumes, however many are out at this point. I read them all in April. That's the only thing that I completed. But in order to not make this like that dull. I only have one more thing that we can go over, and that is current reads that I have realistically been reading since April. Okay, we have the e-reader. I'll try not to drop it. We have the e-reader. I read, as I said already, Jedi Apprentice, and we got to book 9. I think on my e-reader right now, this is book 10. Fight for Truth. It could be book 9. I could be wrong because they're all melded together in my brain. Jedi Apprentice is being read, basically. I was struggling for the longest time with book 4 in Jedi Apprentice. I've been reading that one since March, and then I picked it back up in April and completed the books in May because I did not like book 4. And I've been reading this for a while as well. This, which will like appear in my vlog. It's the Penguin Book of Feminist Writing. It's super long, okay? And there's so much in here, and not all of it is good, but I feel like I'm getting a little bit fatigued with it now that we've gotten to recent times. I got to like the 70s, 80s of the last century. I am liking it less now that we've made it to modern times. So I'm tabbed like the stuff that I loved. I can give you the essays or excerpts that I loved in the ending, but I've been reading through this, I think, for like 2 months. And then the last book that I already mentioned, that I'm also like a little bit of the way through, is Ombre and Shadow by Patricia A Mckillip. Okay, this book, I didn't know which book to get next, but I decided on Ombre and Shadow because it was the cheapest. Okay, it was the cheapest. And since I have Signet, I'm going to make it through Signet before getting any of the like later books. Maybe I'll get Alphabet of Thorn, but I'm still really debating cashing out that much money for it because they're really not easy to find. They're not in these editions. They're in like those print on demand editions that are expensive. So we will considering that I've only liked one of her books so far, of like the 6 that I read, or rather 3 of the 6 that I read. It isn't the greatest ratio. Okay, so we will see about Umbria. Umbria is suffering from the same problem as Beasts of Eld. It's even more pronounced here because all the characters feel like characters and ideas rather than people, except I don't like any of them. There's nothing like majorly wrong with this one, unlike Beast of Eld. Nothing that like super bothers me, although I see hints of something that could bother me if it develops the way that I think it is. And if we've learned anything, it's that Patricia A Mckillip and I are like that. Okay, so we will see, but I do intend to finish this. The only problem is that I'm not that interested in it or invested in it or any of its characters or realistically the world building, so it's just taking me a long time to read. Okay. That's the only thing that I have to say about this. That's actually it for the wrap up. For May and for June, I will have stuff to say because obviously I've made it out of the semester and now I have the time and, more importantly, the mental capacity to actually complete stuff, to sit down and read without feeling like the hours are running away from me. So that is it for the wrap up. What have you read in the last 2 months? I was just in the trenches around my birthday, so there was nothing positive about anything, to be fair, for the last like month and a half, except Witch Hat on Mondays, which has been like the light of my life at the moment. And now currently actually Star Wars because I love it so much and it brings me so much joy. So I will see you in the next video. I've been yapping for too long.